This isn't an in-depth video on how to make this jacket. It's just a short clip on how I got the shape of the collar. I definitely recommend the craftsy.com course that I took, and I linked it into the video if you want a better idea on how to do collars. Okay, so first I draped the pattern on the dress form, and I got my basic shapes, and I added seam allowance. So this is my front piece, and then the back piece as well. And I put these two pieces together at the shoulder seam, not with the seam allowance on the actual seam, because you want your actual neckline. You're not going to be using anything with seam allowances. This is just the pieces. I'm showing you the pieces after the fact, when I actually made them, so they include the seam allowance. So you're going to line them up, and you're going to get this neckline. Now I put just a piece of paper over, and I went from the center back, and I ended at the neckline where I wanted the collar to actually end. This is the bottom layer of the collar, and I only used and traced this neckline to start with. So this was just a larger piece of paper, and I went down the length that I wanted my collar to end in the front, and I took that same length and I basically put little dashes from, I took a ruler, went around, and then I curved the edge. So I think it was like 3.5 inches maybe. Went all the way around, but basically this would be a fold line, and we'll get to that in a second. So this was my bottom piece, and then I took another piece of paper, laid it over for the top layer of the collar, and again I just used I'm going off of the actual neckline to get the same shape. Should be exactly the same shape, because it just lays on top of each other. So I wanted it to end about 1/2 inch from the edge of the first collar. Again, these two pieces include the seam allowance, so it looks longer, but it's only about 1/2 inch over from the actual edge of the first collar. And this little shape here, I just kind of wanted just a little bit more of a corner so you could see it, but I still only wanted it to be about 1/2 inch from the bottom, because I have the ruffle is about 1/2 inch. So my two pieces. Now this is the full bottom piece. It was a piece of paper that I had folded over. I'm sorry, I didn't fold it over originally. I basically traced one side, and then I flipped it and traced the other side. So I took it like that, and then I flipped it over and traced the other, so I have one full piece. The reason I actually cut the fabric on with the full piece instead of on the fold is because I did it on the bias, and I wanted the stripes to go a certain direction, and it's just better visually for me. So this is the top piece. Same thing again, I just flipped it over, traced both sides, got the same shape. So these are the two pieces laying on top of each other. Just kind of get a visually an idea of how it would look on top of each other. So this is the final product, the two pieces. Again, this was the stripes going in a certain direction. That's why I did not do it on the fold, because I wanted to do it on the bias. The ruffle I actually did with a ruffler foot on my sewing machine, and it's about 2.5 inches of fabric folded over to make that little ruffle. This is the inside of the jacket. I'm just going to show you real quick kind of a little bit of the inside. It's lined in linen, and the facing is in the same silk. And I did just a short little lapel. And the bottom is just turned under, intact. This is the back, so you can see it kind of just comes up about 1/2 inch. In hindsight, I wish I meant to put that top piece over on the other side so that these stripes would be different directions, but I probably sewed this really late at night, I can't remember, and I didn't think about it, and I sewed them the exact same direction. So this is the top, the front, and the back.